Good evening, everybody. We're going to make a start. I'm going to pop an agenda up on the screen so you can see what I'm going to be talking about. Like normal, I will talk through things quite quickly, so then we have time at the end to answer your questions using the chat function, which will open just before the end, so you can type in your questions. I'm going to put the agenda up. It's on its way. Hopefully everyone can see that now. And let me talk to you about what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about COVID testing, the online payment system, non-uniform, year 9 and the GCSEs they're going to do when they're in year 10 and year 11, changes to the year 10 option subjects they're currently doing, and plans for centre assessed grades in years 11 and 13. On COVID testing, just a reminder, please, to continue testing at home on Mondays and Thursdays. We got a lot of test results in on the Monday. We had fewer test results on the Thursday, so please do try to make sure you're doing both tests each week. Make sure, please, that you are then reporting those tests using the Microsoft form back to the school. And just so we're really clear, where we do have a positive test, we've been very fortunate so far, we've only had one positive test, that needs to be followed up with a PCR test, which is booked through the NHS. Once you call the school, if there is a situation where you do test positive, we will explain to you how that all works. The iPay system, so on Monday afternoon, children should have brought home to parents a letter with lots of information about this. What it will tell you is, as I've said before in these meetings, we want to be a cashless school. We don't want money coming into the school to pay for anything, whether that's meals, events, trips. There'll be no money coming into the school. And what the iPay system allows parents to do is to top up an online account that payments can then be deducted from. They can be deducted from directly, they can be deducted from by children using their fingerprint to buy things, and so forth. What parents need to do is to create an iPay account. You need a unique account number to do that, which is what we sent home with children on Monday afternoon so that they could register. If you are finding it difficult to register, it is incredibly important that you get in touch. You can call the school or you can email us at info@arksandalbans.org, and we will then help you get registered online. This isn't something that's optional. We need every family to do this, because it is the only way that there can be any exchange of money coming in to or from the school. And as we start to think about, yes, school meals, but we start thinking about trips in the future, we're not going to be able to support children in doing the things they need to do unless we've got the online system set up and ready to go for every family. To test the online system, we're giving ourselves an opportunity to practice using it by having a non-uniform day next Thursday, where we're asking for a £1 donation, which the proceeds will go to charity, but more importantly, it gives us all practice at making payments through the iPay system. So that's hopefully the incentive or the urgency to get that done. We're asking every family to have paid their £1 on the iPay system by the end of the day tomorrow, please. So if you are listening to this right now and you haven't registered on the iPay system, please do that straight away. The information you need is on the letter that children were given on Monday afternoon. If you don't have that, you don't have the information you need, or something's not working, please get in touch as soon as possible. A reminder, I know children are very excited about non-uniform day. I think it's the first time they're telling me they've had one in the history of the school. A reminder that what they choose to wear, yes, is their own clothes, but is still appropriate professional dress. Lots of children and parents asking about the plan for year 9 and the GCSEs they will do when they go into years 10 and years 11. So I wanted to be really clear about what the plan is. All pupils will study 6 core qualifications: English language, English literature, maths, combined science, which is 2 qualifications, and religious studies. That will mean that every child is getting a GCSE in those subjects, and we'll have 6 GCSEs there in total. Then pupils will study an additional 2 qualifications, which will mean they will have 8 GCSEs when they finish year 11. These additional qualifications will be 2 of the following subjects: history, geography, French, Spanish, business, art, and product design. Next week, we're going to be asking children to start thinking about which of those they would prefer to do. And they're going to be able to rank them from number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, their first choice to their last choice. We will then use that information to then have conversations with them after the Easter holidays about exactly which qualifications that we think it's best for them to do that's going to help them make the most progress in school. So I'll be talking to children about that next week. They will bring information home about that process to look at together as a family over the Easter holidays, and then we'll be asking for it back in the week after the Easter holidays. If any parents have any particular questions, do look out for the information that comes home next week, but I'm also happy to arrange to speak to people on the phone. In Year 10, obviously Year 10 have already started their GCSEs. They are in a similar situation as to what I just described about the Year 9 children. So they're doing 6 core qualifications, the 2 Englishes, maths, 2 sciences and RS. They, though, are currently studying 3 additional qualifications, 1 of history or geography, plus 2 others. That's going to change. After Easter, pupils will only be able to study 2 additional qualifications, not 3. They'll be asked to end their study of 1 of their additional qualifications. The reason for that is both for the additional qualifications that they do, they need more time. They need to catch up on learning that they've missed during lockdown, and we want to be able to provide more time for English, maths and science in the future. What will happen is that next week, children will hear more about this in school. They will have the opportunity to talk about it in school, and will help them make a really careful decision about which qualification they're currently in studying they no longer study. That will then allow them to have many more lessons for the qualifications that they are studying and get better grades. I'm really excited about it. I'm very confident it's the right thing to do. But again, if anybody has any questions about it, get in touch or ask them now when we open up the question and answer session in just a moment. Finally, centre assessed grades. We're getting closer to having all the information that I know pupils and parents want to get their hands on. Here's what we know so far. Pupils in Year 11 and Year 13 will have the opportunity to complete at least 5 separate tests in the summer. The scores from those tests will be combined to decide their final overall grade. The first 3 or 4 tests will be shorter and smaller and sat in their classes with their teachers. The final test, or maybe final 2 tests, will be longer and lengthier and will cover more content, and they will take place in the exam hall. Next Wednesday, we're going to give children booklets, very detailed hard copy booklets to take home. We will also share electronic copies of those with parents as well on the same day, which will tell them about when those assessments, those tests are likely to happen, which topics those tests will be about, and exactly what they need to do to prepare for them. So next Wednesday is going to be very, very important that children are in school and ready in Year 11 and Year 13 to get all the information they need about how their grades will be generated at the end of the year. What we're going to do now is Mr. Cole in a second is going to open the question and answer piece. What I've just got from our last meeting last week is the key dates. So to be really clear, we're on the 24th of March today, here in the middle. We've got school as normal tomorrow. On Friday, no school and ARC Schools training day. And then next week, we only have 4 days of school as well. A reminder that on Thursday, the 1st of April, when we start the Easter holidays, school will be finishing at lunchtime. Children will be dismissed at 12:15 p.m. We then have the 2-week Easter holiday. And a reminder again then that when we come back from the Easter holidays, the first 2 days, the 19th and 20th of April, are teacher training days. So the children will return on the 21st of April. Children in every year group will have lots of homework to do, and they will be finding out more about that next week. Okay, I'm going to pause the presentation there, and we're going to open the question and answer session. It's open. You can begin typing any questions that you wish. Hopefully you've now got me back on the screen. You do. We're going to give people time. Like I said, I was in trouble a couple of weeks ago for not giving people enough time, so I'll be patient so people can type their questions and then I'll answer as many as I can. So I'm just going to give it a minute with me not distracting you being on the screen. Okay, we're ready to go. We've got lots of questions coming through. Mr. Cole's going to start publishing them so we can see them and I can begin answering them. Mr. Cole's get reading them as they're typed in. If it looks like we're being slow, don't worry. That's because there's a 90-second delay on what you're seeing and hearing versus what we're getting back in terms of what you're typing. So there's no need to type a question more than once. It will get a response either from me speaking out loud or from Mr. Cole typing into the chat. So Mr. Cole is going to publish some questions and I'm going to try and answer them. What happens if too many people opt for a certain subject? It's a really good question. I don't think it will happen because I think for almost all of those subjects, we will be able to run more than one class of it if we need to. It is possible. And if they do, then we will speak to them and we'll have conversations and we'll think about what their second choice was or what their third choice was. We'll make sure we're really fair and clear about it. But I don't think that's going to be a problem because I think, like I said, we'll be able to have more than one class. Yes, we're only going to do 2 extra qualifications when we start our GCSEs. Like I said, the current year 10 children are doing 3 and the current year 11 children are doing 3. I think that's a mistake. I think that's too many qualifications. What that would mean is children leaving us with 10 or 11 GCSEs. Nobody needs 10 or 11 GCSEs to get a great job. No one needs 10 or 11 GCSEs to go to a great university. I'm more interested in children doing fewer things and doing them really, really, really well. I'm also really clear that we've missed so much school in the last 2 years. Our English and maths levels are going to be very low compared to what they could have been. And so it's more important, instead of doing lots of different subjects, that we have time to make sure our English and maths levels are as high as possible, because actually that will be the thing that stops us getting great jobs, great careers, great university courses in the future. So that's the same question that's come through again. Hopefully that answer is helpful. There's no downside of doing 2 rather than 3 additional subjects. I think there's actually a lot more upsides. When do they choose? So like I said, next week, we're going to give them some information and that's going to have a form on it that they're going to fill in. That's going to say, of all those subjects that I showed you on the screen, rank them. So what would be your first choice? What would be your second choice, your third choice, your fourth choice, your fifth choice? That will then come back to the school after the holidays. We will read all that information. We will count how many children want to do different things. We'll then have one-to-one meetings with the children, talk to them about it, and make a decision with them about which subjects are the best ones to do. Do you have to do a language? 2 people asking that question. No, you don't have to do a language. I would always encourage people to do a language if they thought they could and they were ready. I think it's something that universities, when you're 18, they will think that's a really good thing that you've done because languages are very challenging. So I strongly recommend it, but it's not something that you have to do. I'm just going to scroll down on my screen so I can see the questions. Will year 10 get to choose the subject they drop, or will it be decided for them? Good question. So for some of the subjects, there'll be a discussion. So some of the children will have a meeting with Miss O'Connor or Mr. Richardson or another teacher to talk about it. For some of those subjects, we might just say, actually, that whole subject's not running anymore because lots of children want to drop it. There would only be 1 or 2 children left. So actually, we're just going to say, no, that one's not happening. I've already started talking to some of the children in some of the classes about this, and every conversation I've had so far doesn't make me worried. The children have already got sensible ideas about what they'd like to do, which match with what I think we should do as a school. I'm not nervous about it. I think it will all go really well. I don't think anyone's going to be unhappy about what we get to at the end. I need to keep scrolling on my computer. If you have high grades in your additional subjects, can you carry on with them if you're already on track? I think the answer is no, because it's about the school timetable. On the school timetable right now, there are 3 option blocks. There are 9 hours a week, 9 lessons a week, where children in year 10 are doing different subjects. What we're saying is next year when we're in year 11, there's only going to be 6 lessons a week where children are doing different subjects. And so it's not going to be therefore possible to carry on. If that's something that makes you feel very worried and very anxious, please don't panic and please don't be worried. We've got lots of possible solutions and plans about how we make this work, and that's why we're going to talk to you about it next week. I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to get to an end of this process that everybody is happy with. We've got lots of clever ideas. I want you to start thinking about it now, and then we'll think about it a lot more next half term, because we've got plenty of different options about how we make this work. So please don't panic, just get ready to talk to somebody about it in the next couple of weeks. Let's see what's coming next. When will it happen? Really good question. So we're going to make the decisions next week with you. We're going to talk to you and find things out so that when you come back after the Easter holiday, we have a different timetable, a new timetable, and you're not doing that subject anymore. These are good questions, Year 10. So Mr. Cole says we've got some questions now about centre assessed grades. They're going to come up. Give us just a second. If you've got another Year 10 question, don't worry, we will come back to them. We're just going to try and answer some centre assessed grades questions as well, because lots of people want to ask them. This is a Year 13 question. The test we're having after Easter, are we going to receive the topics in each individual test or the overall topics being assessed on? It's a really clever question. So we want to give you as much information as possible. The challenge we've got as a school is the exam boards are going to release the information to us about questions and topics and what exactly is going to be on the papers on the 31st of March, which is the day we break up for the Easter holidays. So next week, you might get information that's a little bit vague. It might be a broad topic rather than the kind of very specific part of that unit you need to answer on. But then I hope we'd then be able to give you more specific information after Easter, but it means you'll at least be able to know roughly what you should be revising. So I'd hope we give you a lot of very specific information that makes you confident. We're not going to be able to give you exactly precise information because we're not going to get that right until the start of the Easter holidays. Good question though. Scrolling down on the computer. Still coming. We're going back to Year 10, Mr. Cole tells me. Let's see what comes up now. Here we go. For Year 10, dropping a subject, is it possible to drop history or geography? 2 people asking that question. So not a straightforward answer. So if you're in Year 10, you will understand this. Some of you do history or geography. So all of Year 10 does history or geography at the same time. And so that option block, we're not changing. That will carry on. Some of you, I think, do history and geography. If you do both in another block, then yes, it's possible. But you will all end up still doing history or geography because currently there's one option block where that's all that happens, and that option block's going to stay the same. I hope that answers your question. Let's see what's coming next. Some COVID questions from Mr. Cole. That's a really good question about rescheduling. So we're planning for that right now. Yes, it will be rescheduled. Obviously, we've got to think really carefully about that, because if somebody misses school on the day it's their test, then their friends are going to tell them the question, and then they're going to do really well on that test, and it's not going to be fair. So their test will have to be rescheduled, but they'll end up doing a slightly different test or a slightly different paper. The question might be slightly different, or the marks might be slightly different, to make sure that it's fair. Let's see what's coming next. How long should Year 10 spend on the current daily online homework? That's a brilliant question. I hope that's a parent asking that wants to make sure we're on top of things. I'm asking Miss O'Connor.
30 to 60 minutes.
Miss O'Connor says in total it should take 30 to 60 minutes. So if you're a parent and you're thinking, wow, my child's doing that really fast. On maths days, there's 2 things I would say to you. 1, make sure they're doing both parts of it. Yes, they should be doing some time on the computer to answer the questions on Hegarty, but they should also be showing they're working in their books. So make sure they're doing both parts of it. Secondly, if they are just doing it really fast because they're finding it really easy, then what we know about Hegarty is there's lots of more content on there, so they can just carry on practicing. I'm really pleased with how homework has started. I know some children are finding it very easy, some children are finding it very hard. Really, all we've been doing in these last couple of weeks is practicing using all the systems. After the Easter holidays, we're suddenly going to get a lot more homework. We're going to get from different subjects, not just English and maths, different types of tasks. So we need to be ready for that. So we're saying it should take at least 30 minutes, but it shouldn't take longer than 60 minutes. Make sure with the maths that children are doing both parts, both in their book and on the computer. Make sure with English they are both doing the reading and then answering the questions. They're not answering the questions without doing the reading. And if you want them to be doing more, get them to read more, get them to do more maths practice on Heggerty. If you're really worried that your kid's not learning enough at home, then get in touch. Best person to speak to will be their head of year. If you can't get in touch with their head of year, email info@arksandalbans.org. Somebody will get back to you. I want to help you make sure homework's a success. Okay, more questions coming through. Can Year 9 do art and DT as their 2 subjects? That's a really good question. Someone's thinking hard today. So yes is the answer. It's possible, but we wouldn't recommend it. The reason why we wouldn't recommend it is both of those subjects need a lot of time after school, because you have to do lots of projects, lots of coursework, lots of independent work. And what we found is that when children try to do both, they don't have time to do all the work they need to do well in both. So if it's not impossible, if somebody really wanted to tell us they were desperate to do those things and they could convince us that they had a plan for how they were going to make it work, we'd talk to them about it, and if they could convince us, we'd make it work for them. But I wouldn't advise it. I think it's a big challenge to try and do both of those things at the same time. Looking further down then, how many subjects we choose from, can we email them, and how many options? Yes. So next week, I think on Wednesday, we've said, Tuesday, sorry, next Tuesday, children will bring home all the information written down for you about the whole process, about the optional subjects, and we'll email it to parents as well. And we'll put it on the Microsoft Teams so children have got another copy of it. So you'll have everything you need by the end of the day next Tuesday. Okay, let's see what's coming next up on the computer. Is RE compulsory? Yes, the answer is yes. Thank you for asking. It has been compulsory this year. It's going to carry on being compulsory. I've got probably 3 reasons why I think that is a great thing. One, it's a brilliant course. I've taught it a bit before. I've seen children learning it here and in other schools. It's a really good course. It's really good. It has lots of links to English, it has lots of links to history, has lots of links to geography. So as well as being a good course in and of itself, helping them learn about the world and learn about other cultures and traditions, it actually helps them do really well in their other subjects. It's also a course we know that children can do really, really well on. At our school, children are brilliant at English. They're brilliant at writing essays, reading information, writing extended answers. And that's exactly the skills that you need in RE. And so we know that children have got really great scores in RE in this school, and I'm really confident they will carry on doing that as well. So I'm really pleased that it is something that we're able to say every child can do, because I know in lots of schools, maybe they don't have enough RE teachers and so forth. It's something that only a few children can do. I'm excited about saying all our children are going to study it. Is PE compulsory? That's a good question. So in years 10 and years 11, children will have 1 hour a week of PE with their class, with the PE teachers, and it will happen and it will be compulsory. Can children in year 9, when they start year 10, do both geography and history? Yes, they can. That's different to previous years. It's something we've tried to create for the first time. So yeah, hopefully that is good news and people are pleased about that. And I would strongly, strongly, strongly encourage children to do geography and history. I think that is a great combination of subjects that's going to get them very ready to 6th form for university for their future. So my strong suggestion to as many children as possible is please do both history and geography. Okay, why isn't computer science an option for optional subjects? I think that's a mistake. Computer science will be an option for our optional subjects, and I'll make sure that's on the form. Thank you for pointing it out. Good question. Can year 10 change subjects? No, they can't start something new now. It's too far into the course. It will be too difficult and too complicated to catch up. They need to carry on with 2 of the 3 subjects that they're doing now. Good question though. same question there. Yeah, we can't be changing subjects, I'm afraid. What I'm hoping is if they are struggling, the fact that they're going to stop doing one will give them plenty of time to help catch up and improve in the others. 3 questions now. I'm just having a read through. So if we're given a subject to drop any choice we want, does that mean the number of people in the options class will differ from the options classes? Unless your 10s are not given choice, our subjects are decided for. Yeah, so children are going to be given a choice. Exactly. It's just there's some different factors that will contribute to that choice about how flexible that we can be. Like I said, we're going to sit down and have conversations with everyone next week. What will happen in that time? Really good question. Next term, it will mean that in lots of those current additional subjects, product design, arts, languages, for example, children will get 6 lessons rather than 3. And I'm really excited about that, because that means that where we've got lots of coursework that we need to catch up on, where we've got lots of practice that we haven't done, we can catch up in that summer term, because we're going to double the amount of lesson time we have. It's not appropriate then to carry on with those 6 hours when we're in year 11. We'll go back to having just 3, but that means we can have an extra hour for English, an extra hour for maths, and probably an extra hour for science as well. In terms of sets, because core lessons are sets, no, they're not. It's not going to be linked to that. Don't worry. It's not going to link to the setting at all, because like I said, the timetable is actually not going to change until next year. It's just going to mean you have more. The options lessons are just going to happen twice a week. Someone's thinking really hard about how the timetable works here. We've done that thinking. Don't worry. It's not going to be impacted by which sets you're in, because the options lessons are just going to happen twice through the week. Can year 9 pick a subject and then just not do it anymore? No. So I think that's something we've got to be really careful about with our thinking. Next week, they're going to get the information. Over the Easter holidays, they're going to make their preferences. After the Easter holidays, they're going to tell us their preferences. And then we're going to sit down and have meetings and discussions about them to really make sure that they are sure that they're the right subjects for them. Because once you've started, you can't change. And similarly, once children have kind of committed and we've had all those discussions and meetings about it, we can't change again, because we're going to make decisions about how many teachers we need for that subject. So if lots and lots and lots of children tell us they want to do French, then we're going to need more French teachers. If we then change our minds in October and say we don't want to do French anymore, then we're going to have a problem. So we've got to be really clear. It's not going to be possible once year 10 has started to change. We can talk about it a lot over the next couple of months between now and the summer. That's fine. And we're not going to make sure that everyone's confident and everyone's certain. We'll have lots of meetings if we need to. But once we get to year 10, what we start, we finish. Are the year 10s, yeah, all of year 10 children have asked me this question this week when I see them. Are they going to do PE? Yeah, current year 11 you see aren't doing PE. That's partly because we wanted to create more time for catch up. Partly it's because we were trying to keep them extra separate and extra safe because of COVID in their bubbles. Next year, the plan is for year 10 to have an hour of PE every week, all the way through. Lots of schools do at some point allows that PE time to become extra study time when we get close to exams, and that might happen, but it's certainly not how we're going to start the year. The plan is for year 10 to have PE every week, just like they do in year 9, but it will be 1 hour and not 2. When teachers say they'll be doing their Gcses in year 10 and 11, does that mean their exams will take place in year 10? No, it doesn't. And I think the next question is similar. Let me try and answer those both. I think the most important thing to say is GCSE exams happen at the end of year 11. But in almost every single subject, the way the curriculum works is the first question on the exam in year 11 will be what they learn in the first few weeks of year 10. So it's a 2-year course. The GCSE qualification is a 2-year course. So everything they learn, all the studying they do, every lesson they have, every homework that they do will be part of deciding what grade they get at the end of year 11. And it's really important, therefore, that we start year 10 really well and make lots and lots of progress very quickly. Will the sets determine what students doing higher in foundation? Thank you for asking that question. It's a really good question because it's something that lots of people get very concerned about. So in maths, for example, and science, there are different GCSEs. There's higher tier maths, there's foundation tier maths. What we will say once we get to the start of year 10, we'll say the children in these classes are doing higher tier, the children in these classes are doing foundation tier. We haven't decided that yet. We will, when the children do their exams at the end of year 9, they'll do big, very challenging exams at the end of year 9 that we'll get them ready for. We will look at all the information in those exams, and then we'll start talking to children about whether they should do higher tier or foundation tier maths, and therefore which group they should be in. So that's not been decided yet. It will be decided, but it'll be decided later this year. Okay, couple more questions. When we pick, I think that's a year 10 question, when we pick which subject we're going to carry on with, will our timetables change? If you're in year 10, that's a good question, and the answer is yes, you'll have new timetables after Easter. If you're in year 9 and you're thinking like some schools kind of the year 10 timetable starts before the summer, no, that won't happen. We're going to carry on with your year 9 timetable all the way through to the summer, because it probably won't be until close to the summer holidays when we actually confirm which subjects you're doing at GCSE, because you're going to tell us after Easter your preferences, your ranking, first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice, fifth choice, but we're not necessarily going to sit and make final decisions with you till much later in the year. We need to see, as we talked about before, if 100 people want to do French, for example, then I'm going to need to go and make sure we've got enough French teachers. So I'm not going to be able to confirm whether 100 children can do French until a few months' time when I've got the school organised. So it's not going to be guaranteed, it's not going to be determined exactly which GCSEs you're doing and exactly which GCSEs we can offer until very close to the summer holidays. So the year 9 timetable will stay the same for quite a while. Will year 10, will teachers help decide which lesson to drop? Really good question. So Miss O'Connor, who lots of you will have known and worked with and talked to before, she's been talking to all your teachers about this already. So she's got lots of ideas from your teachers about which subjects that you're thriving in and doing well in, which subjects you might be finding difficult. She's going to use that to make suggestions to all of you about what we think should happen. And those are the conversations we're going to have next week. It's not going to happen automatically. It's not going to happen like right now, this is happening, and the next day it's decided. You're definitely going to have an opportunity to talk to people if you want to, and you can talk to your teachers too about that as well. Wonderful question. When the timetable changes, can we have a longer break and a longer lunch? And I am going to obviously say no. The reason why I'm going to say no is for 2 reasons. One, compared to lots of schools, and I've talked to you all before about my old school, we have a very short school day. Going home at 3 o'clock for me, crazy times, right? We've got so much more learning we need to fit in. Going home at 2 o'clock on a Friday, even crazier times. We don't have enough time to teach you all the things we need to teach you. And if we have a longer break or we have a longer lunch, that means we're going to have less lessons. And at the minute, I'm already worried we don't have enough to get you the really, really, really top grades I want to get you. So break and lunch is going to stay as it is. Okay, more things coming through. Are we doing mock exams for the current year 10? Thank you for that question. At the end of the summer term, so before you go on the summer holidays, in every year group, year 7, year 8, year 9, year 10, year 12, you will do exams in all of your subjects. We will mark those exams and we will give you a grade, and we will make you a report to tell you those grades. For those of you in year 10 and those of you in year 12, those grades we will look at to start giving you predicted grades for you to use with your future. So that will create predicted grades for you, and you will use those predicted grades if you're in year 10. When you start year 11, as we start thinking about applying for 6th form, and you'll use those grades if you're in year 12, when you're in year 13, as we think about starting to apply to university. That's how those grades will be used. Hopefully that answers your question about assessment that's there. We still have some questions coming in. I'm going to give us probably about 10 more minutes at the most. So let's get our questions in if we're not sure. Can Year 11s get higher than their predicted grades in their GCSEs? Yes. That's, I think, the best piece of news. We're going to not look at your predictions. We're not going to look at your mock exam results. We're going to let you do all these tests. We're going to mark them. Then we're going to get your grades. Then we all look back at what your predictions were to see, are you a lot higher, are you a lot lower, to help us influence how we come up with the final grade. But yeah, nothing is attached to what you've done before. It's a fresh start for everybody. Are the Year 11 exams in the hall more important than the ones in class? Good question. It will be different in different subjects. What they will definitely be is longer. So there'll be more marks available. So if your total assessment in maths, for example, was going to be out of 200 marks, you might do 10 of those marks in lesson time in week 1, 10 of those marks in lesson time in week 2, 10 of those marks in lesson time in week 3, 10 of those marks in lesson time in week 4 and in week 5, and that'll be 50 marks. And then when you go to the sports hall, you might do 150 of those marks in a longer exam. So that's going to be the difference. It's going to be longer and more of the marks will be counted, and hopefully that's good because they'll be later at the end, so we can teach you a lot more before they happen. Can we get, yes, exactly. Can we get details about each subject to discuss with children at home? So like I said, you're going to get a lot of detail. Okay, we've been preparing it today in school, 2 or 3 pages for every subject about how to prepare and what to prepare. We don't want to talk too much about past performance and predicted grades because so much has changed since those mock exams. If you are a parent and you're worried or you want some specific advice, then we are very happy to give that to you. If you email me or you email info@st.albans.org or you email the head of year and say you'd like to have a meeting or you'd like to have a discussion about how to help your child get ready, we are more than happy to find that time. Please do get in touch. Okay, it's something we really want to make sure everyone feels confident about. When do students do their GCSEs, mock exams, predicted grades? Good question. So more than once. So let me explain how that will work. In the final couple of weeks before the summer holidays, and I will get a calendar out for parents like the calendar that I've used before so that you can see it very shortly. Children will do exams just before the summer holiday. They will then do more exams in November, December time once they're in Year 11, and that will create some more predicted grades. And they'll do a final set of mock exams in March when they're in Year 11 in the spring. So that they'll have lots of practice, they'll have lots of mock exams. The reason why the ones at the end of Year 10 are so important is the time when people apply for sixth form and college is kind of October, November time. And so those will be the only predicted grades that they will have to hand. So they're going to want to do really well in those mock exams at the end of Year 10. Going to see what questions we've got coming in. I think we've got some homework questions, Mr. Cole says. Who's asking this question? After school, why do we still get homework? You still get homework because you need to learn lots, my friends. Because as I said to you, when I spoke to nearly all of the classes, if you do an hour's homework every day, that's 5 hours of study a week. We've got 40 weeks of school a year. That's 40 times 5. We're talking a lot of maths. We're talking 400 extra hours of bad maths, 200 extra hours of maths a year, extra maths at home each year. That's going to make your grades better. I promise you it's going to happen. And that's why we're doing it. Somebody here talking about a big difference between the time it takes to do maths compared to English. That's a worry for me. I think that's something where we can give you some help and we can give you some support. So don't be just worried about that at home, panicking about it. Please get in touch. We will have somebody sit with you or sit with your child to help them. The Hegarty homework should not take 2 hours. Okay, it should be challenging, it should be hard. 2 hours seems too much. The English homework should also not take 10 minutes. It makes me get the sense that they're not doing that properly. Ask us, we will help you. Okay. Okay, Mr. Cole's got some more questions for me. Is there going to be school in the summer? Thank you for asking that. So the government has talked about schools offering summer camps, and as a school we're starting to think about what that might look like here. Is that something we might offer, and if we do, to which children? Because there's lots of children that could benefit from that. We don't have a plan yet, so I'm not going to talk about it now. I will put a plan together soon that I can share with pupils and parents in the next few weeks. If we do have some sort of summer camp, it will probably be for a very small number of children. So it's not going to be something that affects everybody. I will share some more information soon. Can students get extra after school help as practice? Thank you for asking. So I'm really pleased that children want more help and they want more practice, or their parents want it for them. I definitely want to be able to provide that. At the minute, it's a real challenge being able to run the school with COVID, just the normal amount of hours that we've got. So trying to do something extra right now feels very difficult. I'd hope, though, in the next few months, that will change. And we will be able to start thinking about how we can help the children that need the most help very, very soon. Step one with that is homework. That hopefully is part of that extra help that children need, because that is English and maths practice. And like I said, they're going to get more subjects for their homework after the Easter holidays. And what we will start thinking about is children who are finding it difficult to learn themselves at home through the homework, them having an opportunity to study in school instead at the end of the day. So I'm really pleased people want more time for their child in school and more learning. I want that too. I just need to find a way of making it happen successfully. And as soon as we've got a plan, I will tell you about it. Can year 13 come into school during Easter for revision, and will there be summer classes for year 11 due to the COVID disruptions? So thank you for asking. I've spoken to a few parents about this before. The answer over Easter is no. The school is going to be fully closed over Easter. There's lots of reasons for that. One is kind of very much COVID related and needing to get everything cleaned, sorted, stored and sorted out. Secondly, we've had lots of teachers and lots of children, but lots of teachers especially, absent or away from work because of COVID related matters. And that means the teachers that have been in work have had to take on a lot more responsibilities and do extra things. It's not then appropriate to ask them to continue on through the holidays. The reason why it's not appropriate is I don't think it's necessary. The reason why it's not necessary is the exams and the tests that children are going to be doing are much, much smaller than the real normal exams they would do. So normally in other years where we have done Easter classes or other sorts of things, we've had to do that because we've been trying to cram a whole 2-year course and revise it very quickly to do some exams. That's not the case this year. We're doing short tests in class, which if we're doing the test on Friday in maths, then our maths lesson on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is getting us ready to do that test. So we don't need to spend the Easter holidays doing that. The other reason why we're not going to do it is even if we were trying to do something like that through Easter, we wouldn't be able to do it for everybody. And if we don't do it for everybody, then it's not fair. And so I think it's really important that we don't run that. The suggestion there from somebody in year 13, could they just come and have somewhere to study? It's a really nice idea. We just can't do it during these Easter holidays. We have to close the school entirely. When it gets to the May half term, that might be something we look at. Obviously, by then, pretty much all of the testing and assessment will have been completed, though, for year 11 and year 13. I think we've got 2 questions left. I'm going to try and answer those, and then we're going to draw things to a close. What do I class as appropriate for non-uniform? Well, Mr. Cole has spoken to all of the children very clearly and given them a list of things that are and are not appropriate. So I'd ask any child that was confused to remember what Mr. Cole has said to them. Secondly, it was printed on the letter that we sent home. The non-uniform day is next Thursday, so we've got a whole week to get ourselves ready for it. Mr. Cole's bringing me the list of what's appropriate and not appropriate, so I can read it out to you right now. So what it says: no hats, caps or bandanas, no jewellery, same rule as the normal school day, no sunglasses, no fancy dress, no clothing that contains any offensive language or references to drugs, gangs or violence, no leggings unless they're underneath other items of clothing, and no unusual hairstyles, including colours or cuts. We will say all of that again to children on Monday in their tutor time, so they've heard it again. It is the first time we've ever had a non-uniform day at the school. I would love to do it again in the future, lots more. If it becomes though difficult and annoying, and me and Mr. Cole and other teachers having to like talk to lots of children at the start of the day because they have worn something inappropriate or done something silly with their hair, then I'm just going to say we can't do it again. So I need all the children to get it right, to be sensible about it, because that will make me confident it's something we can do more and more and more in the future. Last question. Last question is, when will we start having normal hot lunches? The best question for last. Thank you so much. 2 times. One reason we can't have normal hot lunches is because we can't get all the children into the canteen and keep them in their COVID bubbles. It's just not big enough. We've got a very small canteen in this school. It was built very small. I wasn't here when it was built, not my fault. I'm sorry. We've got a very small canteen, so we can't get all the children through. As soon as the situation with COVID gets calmer and we need to worry less about the bubbles, then we'll start thinking about getting the canteen back open. One way everyone can help with that is by doing the COVID testing and reporting their results. The other way, the other thing that's a barrier to getting hot food started again is hot food costs money. Okay, costs more money than the packed lunches. And so at the minute, I'm saying the only money that I want to be spent in the school is from the iPay system, the electronic cashless system. Right now, only a small number of families have signed up to the iPay system. So if I started doing hot lunches now, I know I'd be losing money as a school. And if I lose money as a school, I can't buy books for children. I can't take children on trips. I can't get textbooks. I can't do training for their teachers. So until I've got lots and lots and lots of families signed up on the iPay system, then we're going to have to keep lunch very, very simple, because otherwise we're going to lose lots and lots of money. So what I need parents to do, or pupils to do if they need to encourage their parents about getting organised, I need parents to sign up to the iPay system, and I need the testing to happen at home. That will get us closer to hot meals coming back. Okay, team, thank you for your time this evening. We'll send the recording out from this as well later on. Next Wednesday, we'll be back again, same time, and all of the year 11 and year 13 children will then have had all the information about their assessments. So I'll be able to answer any questions about that. And it'll be the day before the non-uniform day. So I'll be able to remind everyone about what we expect and don't expect on that day. Thank you for your time, for everybody. Thank you for joining. Much appreciated.